Come in.
Warrant. Most of us just say test.
It could be a little different.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. I'm not sure quite, okay, we go. Anyway, so as far as doing the,
We have nobody online.
we have nobody online, so we don't have to worry about number one. If you would, please do the roll call.
Will Blake present.
Oh, I'm sorry, well, Will
No,
Blake.
well,
shoot.
she'll call it.
Okay,
Butch Freeman,
Here?
David Hooten,
Present.
Rick Warren,
Here.
Carrie Bloomer,
Here.
Larry Stein,
Here.
Michael Taylor,
Here.
Will Blake.
I'm here.
Okay, seeing we clearly have a forum, notice of this meeting was posted Tuesday, June 30th. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Okay, moving on into the agenda, item number 2 is discussion possible action in regards to recommendations and an update from the Oklahoma County Emergency Response Committee. David.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Update really has not changed much from the Board of County Commissioners meeting yesterday, if you happen to catch any of that, but Emergency Response Committee continues to meet routinely. In fact, we have a meeting this morning at 11:30 that you're certainly more than welcome to attend and would encourage it if you can. We're continuing to monitor the COVID-19 related factors numerically and trends and watching news conferences and different press releases and all those kinds of things just to kind of keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community and in our area and particularly our region. We obviously are still voicing staunch support for continued sanitizing efforts, PPE used throughout the facility. We see efforts that Mr. Monroe has implemented for the cleaning, sanitation, and sanitizing throughout the facilities, which we know have certainly reaped benefit for Oklahoma County. We can see evidence by our numbers, although we did see an increase in the last rough week in the number of positive cases at Oklahoma County, where we went up to 8, which was 4 new ones in the last roughly week. So we doubled in the last week, which was not a good thing, but still, comparatively, that's a good number for us. On-hand personal protective equipment inventory is stable. We're continuing to see some interesting trends in that regard because as we see a surge not only in Oklahoma County, but around the nation, the supply chain is reflecting that. Some pricing is reflecting that. We're still pursuing that quite heavily. And there's some interesting dynamics there, but we'll continue to monitor that, and we're still keeping inventory in. I still, for what appears and what I'm being told is a very limited amount of time, I'm still accessing strategic national stockpile resources. And we don't know a dead end date on that, but we continually are being reminded that that's short-ended. It's going to be dropping off soon, so I would not be surprised. This is pure speculation on my part, but I would not be surprised to see that go away within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So it's going to be more important any inventory you maintain or want to pursue, which is certainly not a problem at all, and then continue to build up the inventory for Oklahoma County. We're continuing, Mr. Matthews and I are sharing a document where we're documenting positive cases among staff and co-workers. So if you have any positive identifications, any of your employees or people that come through, whatever, if you could just shoot us a brief note of that. It's just a tracking purpose, not share it with anyone outside of our group, just so we can kind of keep, again, a finger on the pulse of what's going on in Oklahoma County. Excuse me. I would mention again that as we emphasized yesterday and we continue to talk about fraudulent unemployment claims, according to Mr. Matthews and Ms. Kent, who has done a phenomenal job in trying to wrangle that animal, that appears to have stabilized. The numbers are significantly down this week, and I know Dan's waiting on the quarterly report to see what cost implications are for Oklahoma County, but there was a substantial number, were likely over 700, I don't know, may even been approaching 800 of those, which when you consider the number of employees, that's a pretty phenomenal number. But that has stabilized apparently. I don't know if that's a regional or a statewide stabilization, but looking better for Oklahoma County, which is good. Let's see.
Were you ever filed on?
I'm sorry?
Were you filed on too?
No, so far I've dodged 2 of the guys out of my 4-person office were, so 50%.
I have a question about that. For those of us who did get a fraudulent claim
ma'am.
filed, I've done the necessary paperwork, I've put credit freezes on, but is there anything else you think employees should be doing, such as filing a police report, or is there anything else we should be doing?
Not that I'm aware of. The documentation, it's my understanding that Mr. Matthews and Karen Kuhn have been providing gets the process underway.
Okay.
I think there were some documents you had to sign there,
Right.
maybe an affidavit, something, but that is my understanding, and Dan can certainly correct me. I believe that got the process going and put you on the map as far
Okay.
as stopping the claim
Okay.
and those type of things.
Okay.
Yeah, they worked hard to pull together kind of a comprehensive, individualized response to that, so that anytime someone, as in your case, came to them and said, we have this issue, that they're able to nail it with all of the required documentation at that time. As you likely are aware, we did successfully recommend and implement the use of masks on elevators for Oklahoma County facilities, both through the PBA as well as BLCC, so any Oklahoma County facility elevator mask use is required. And had a surge this morning from the Sheriff's Office, as well as others, in getting additional masks, which that's what they're for. So I think additional attention is already being paid to that, which is a good thing. The CARES Act funds that you allocated to me for PPE, $500,000, I have only expended under $6,000 of that. However, within the next, I would say, probably 5 to 10 days, we're going to be bumping that number up substantially, because we're touching base with some vendors and see what products were and those kind of things. The gentleman I've got working on that does research ad nauseum, and he is going through ratings, he's going through accreditation, he's going through a lot of different steps to make sure that we're not purchasing junk, particularly in bulk. So as we're kind of laying out that playing field, we're going to be bringing in additional numbers. One thing that is important to us in that respect, and a recommendation from the Emergency Response Committee to this group, is to establish a deadline for getting the numbers from your departments, from your elected official offices, from all those in Oklahoma County government back to me of estimates. They recommended a July 10th deadline. I did see 2 additional this morning, and that brings the total that I've received to date. We've been asking for this for at least a month, 7. So obviously we've got a lot of information that's yet to be sent in, and I know a lot of people are working on those numbers, and that's fine. I just don't want to fall off the radar. So as a recommendation from the Emergency Response Committee, that this group put forth a deadline of July 10th for getting that information to me. That allows me to get out the quantities on hand, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. We talked about that in BOCC yesterday, the efficiency of scale and purchasing, scarce resource management. If I know what you have on hand that you're keeping in your department, which again is fine, if you're purchasing some on your own, that's great. That will remain your inventory, unless of course we find ourselves in a bind at some point, then I may call on you to assist. But again, scarce resource management, knowing what all your resources are, is a key critical factor to that. That's just why I'm interested in if you have any in stock. And trust me, I'm not pursuing that in any form or fashion. Just a situational awareness for us. That concludes my update and my recommendation to you. Any questions or discussion?
I know the mayor did a press conference yesterday with a few changes to recommendations. Can you
Yes.
touch on that?
I sure can. In broad scope, what I heard from the mayor yesterday, basically they're backing down some of the larger group numbers, primarily bars going to 50%, staggered seating in large venues such as churches and other facilities theaters where they have larger numbers of people. He was very big and very appropriate in emphasizing the use of masks in social settings. And a real key in the message that we continue to send consistently, as Mr. Tether will tell you, is that mask use is certainly a required issue on the elevators, but it's also a recommendation both from us and in general. Anytime you're in a public setting, anytime social distancing can't be maintained. Received it was a Facebook post, but I don't put much credibility in Facebook, but some mass testing that I sent out to the Everyone group that was provided by one of our employees. And I've seen similar studies to that. It's very interesting. It does make a huge difference. And something, if Miles Davidson were here, he would tell you, he brings this point up a lot. One person wearing a mask in an environment is a big deal. But if 2 people are wearing a mask, numerically really taken the chance of any kind of transmission way, way down. So continuing emphasis on that, and that's what the mayor was getting at, is just basically doing the right thing, use your head, think. He did emphasize that we cannot experience a great surge like we've already had. If we were to multiply that, we would have some issues.
Yeah.
That information was from one of our employees, a PhD epidemiologist, I believe, and I said, okay, I want to make sure this is all accurate, and it's had some very interesting cultures, and it helps.
Yes, it does. I've seen similar studies. There's been a couple of those going on at different times, and the difference of mass makes in actual transmission of particulate, which continues to be the issue, is airborne particulates, okay? The transmission from surfaces, according to CDC and other sources, is still extremely minimal. But the airborne piece of that, which is what the mask and what that study implicated, is substantial.
Make a motion, we approve receive the report.
Second.
Just a minute before we get into that, now you're asking us for establish a deadline?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do we want to take two actions in to receive the report and then to discuss the deadline?
I think that's fine.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we have a motion.
And a second.
And a second to receive the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we've been requested by Mr. Barnes to establish July 10th. Our recommendation is that we establish July 10th as the deadline for reporting the information, as mentioned here, information on use and needs as it relates to PPE to the Office of Emergency Management. Do I have a motion?
Motioned.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to establish July 10th as the deadline. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barnes. That was
you.
very thorough, and did notice this morning, as you've not, that we have pasted over the sign that said mandatory, and then it said recommended, and now mandatory, so we're running out of rooms to paste.
As a point of interest on that, I'm going to get, I believe the sign out front, the message board, is a District 1 piece of equipment. I'm going to see if I can get something else up there, mask use required, elevator, something, so that people have some advance warning when they're coming to the facility as well.
Also, we can post that on the TV set downstairs, and also,
Great. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, item number 3 is discussion possible action for the reimbursement expenses from our special projects fund, namely the $47 million. So, Cuddy?
Good morning. BET has several recommendations on your agenda today. Item number 3 is a recommendation to reimburse previously expended funds, $34,971.48 from the court clerk's 1210 fund, as well as $5,636.35 from treasurer resale fund, for a total of $40,607.83. Just to be clear, when we're looking at it, we're looking at the Treasury guidelines and making sure that all of the items fit within the deadlines given, that they weren't previously budgeted and allocated for, and that they're necessary. They were necessary expenses incurred due to the COVID expense. So those are the things that we're looking at, which are the guidelines given by the Treasury Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further comments, questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I do have a question. Okay, at the end of your item we just finished, and then we turn the next page, and it's got this list of invoices and court. Are those the individual ones that you considered in that totaled up to the 40,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're attaching those individually, and we've required, when there's an application made, to attach a copy of when it's a reimbursement, attach a copy of the invoice and the check. That way, all of those items are together, so when we get on the backside of this in a potential audit, it'll be easier for the clerk's office to pull up each individual piece and say, here you go, instead of having to go back and try to dig through files.
Perfect. That's exactly, I think, where I was trying to go with that. So this is going to be great documentation if and when we were to be audited, and I kind of have a feeling we will be, but I don't know anything. I want to rephrase that.
We'll be very prepared for it.
You'll be very prepared for it?
Yes.
I have
And you'll know
tremendous faith
everything.
in you. Not
We
you.
we love the auditors.
Item number 4.
Item number 4 is an item that is a request for funding. This is not a reimbursement. This purchase has not been made, but the assessor is wishing to make a purchase of $538.78 for car chargers for their field appraisers to be able to charge their laptops while they're out, so they don't have to come back to the building in the middle of the day to charge their laptop, and thus keeping the population in the building as low as possible, so they can just stay out, work remotely, and not come back into the building.
Motion to approve.
That's, okay, do I have?
Second.
And we have a second? Okay. Question. And you all have looked at this, and you feel that this is a legitimate expenditure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, and what we're doing then is authorizing the assessor to direct cite the CARES funds?
Well, what this would do is, if this item is approved, it would then go on to BOCC for final approval, and then Kelly Thomas is a requisitioner that's been set up, so the assessor's office could then get the information to Ms. Thomas regarding this purchase, and she would do the requisitioning and everything associated with this particular purchase.
Okay.
Are we vetting this to the DA's office, make sure that this qualifies?
No, this has not been sent to the DA's office. The approach that we're taking is we're looking at items, and the ones that may have a concern, a little bit of a gray area maybe, then we'll send those over to the DA's office. But to keep from inundating them with every single request, we're looking to see if we feel like it meets within those 3 guidelines, and if it clearly meets in those 3 guidelines in our view, then we make a recommendation. If not, then we will send it to the district attorney's office for review.
Also, remember that when all of this happened, we had our office, my office, had a stockpile of stuff that we handed out, but that was just to get us through the hump. Everybody else needs to take care of themselves moving forward, hopefully, and if that means, which might mean that more of our staff is at home working, I don't have anything left, so whatever you guys are going to need, you need to be asking for it and getting it, because we have no more laptops. We don't have any more computers to send out home. And if this gets worse, we're out. So,
Larry, as assessor, you're comfortable with this?
Yes, I am, because I think it fits squarely into the CARES funding issues that we've received previously regarding
Okay.
mitigation and protection and prevention.
I guess-
Instead of having to have our guys come into the building.
Yeah, I guess the way I'd look at it, this is equivalent to working from home. In this case, what you're doing is you're working from the field, not having to come back in.
And every computer comes with a charger
Yeah.
for 120, but none of them come with a car charger.
Yeah.
So that's the dilemma, because that's their office.
Okay. We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Mr. Cody, item number 5. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's good.
Number 5, if the board recalls, you guys had set up a special cost center within the Special Projects Fund 1400 for emergency management to have access to $500,000 to purchase PPE for county needs. We have also, BET, that is, has made a recommendation to do likewise with facilities management for the custodial services for cleaning buildings and whatnot. So item 5 would be establishing a cost center that facilities could pay directly out of for those services. And then item 6 is actually moving $350,000 into that cost center for those purposes for the remainder of this calendar year.
Keith, does this meet all your requirements and solve what you want to have?
Yes, I think it addresses the needs. Keep in mind, with this new fiscal year, we'd had to go out to bid for a janitorial contractor. So there may be some escalation. This figure takes that into account. Also, we looked at the possible escalation of costs for the materials that we're using, alcohol, Clorox, wipes, masks, gloves, all of those things that we have to provide for our janitorial contractor and our own staff.
So Keith, this is above and beyond what we normally use, because the CARES money is not for what our normal uses are. So our normal uses is $350,000 a year, and it's now going to be $700,000, and $350,000 definitely justifiable.
This is for disinfecting.
For above and beyond what we normally disinfect.
That's correct.
Okay.
We would not have incurred this expense were it not for
That's correct.
COVID-19, okay. I think it's important we do get that documented, and that's a good question. Cody, anything else?
No.
Okay. Let's take these items separate. We've got to take them separate anyway. So item number 5 is to approve the setup of this new cost center. Do I have a motion?
Motion and a second.
And a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now item number 6 is to put money into it, correct?
Yes, sir. It would be $350,000. That was the dollar estimate given to BET by facilities. So that's the recommended amount to go in
Motion to
there for now.
approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Cody. Good
Thank
work, you and the BET, and
Appreciate you guys.
these are interesting times. Okay, citizens' participation. Are there any citizens here that would like to address the board? Seeing none, board comments? Larry?
Happy birthday, America. Have a great, safe, happy 4th of July.
I will echo that. Commissioner? Mr. Court Clerk?
God bless the United States.
Wishing everyone a happy 4th of July and enjoy it, because just enjoy it.
Wishing everybody a happy 4th and a safe 4th, and if you have to be out on the road, be careful and watch the other guy.
Amen to that. Okay, I guess that's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
We are adjourned.
Well, we have to take the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Second time.